Hey, Danny, before we get back into the running back Commanders combo we were having, we'll hit the phones at 800-636-1067 if you guys want to chime in on that. Did you see these numbers for the Women's College World Series compared to the Stanley Cup Final?
I did, yes.
So as a hockey guy, this pained me a little bit, I will say, but I am very much happy for the WCWS in softball. ESPN has done a really good job, I will say, in building up softball to the point where now former Marlins GM Kim Ng is running this national women's college softball barnstorming league.
I didn't even know that. That is interesting.
They're going market to market with pros and the best stars of the college game over the last few years. But the Women's College World Series is on right now. So this is the softball version of the CWS that's at Rosenblatt Stadium in Omaha in baseball. And game one of the series was just played between, I think it's Texas Tech.
It is, yes.
And that game drew an average of 2.1 million viewers, which is a lot.
Yes, it is.
That's a gigantic number for women's college softball, but it is the College World Series. I bring that up to juxtapose it because this was the story that everyone's been writing, that it almost did the numbers of the Stanley Cup Final. The Stanley Cup Final did 2.42 million viewers on average. And the peaks of the two is a little bigger gap. Obviously, the Stanley Cup at the Apex, did a little better. But the idea that on average, we're talking about 0.3 is as a difference here, 2.1 to 2.4 million between the Women's College World Series of softball and the Stanley Cup Final with the best player on the planet, Connor McDavid, playing and, oh, by the way, scoring the game-winning goal in overtime in a rematch of last year's final. That is stunning that those two were so close, in my opinion.
It is wild. And that's without kind of I don't know how to say this in a different way, a sort of one of these cross-sport transcendent stars like Caitlin Clark. Right? Like we did the topic while you were out. You're on vacation. I watch this thing every year. I was obsessed with this, a little bit too strong. I get into it every year right around this time. It kind of fills the gap when things are slowing down for, there's not a Capitals game anymore. The NBA playoffs are a little bit more irregular. It's on way more often. So these regionals, the College World Series, to pare it down to one of the final couple of teams, I watch this thing and get into it. And find out some of the stories and find out some of the teams and players, and I'm mesmerized by it. So I watch it every year, and I marvel at that fact. There's no Caitlin Clark. There's no I got to see this. I would hazard a guess. None of our listeners can name any players on either Texas Tech or Texas, and yet it's doing major sport numbers. It's pretty incredible.
Well, here's what I would say though is, and this is maybe a problem for the NHL, but a very small percentage of our listeners can probably name many players on Edmonton that aren't Connor McDavid, right? And that's not to knock anybody. I mean, there are hockey fans that are listening that can tell you some of the lines for sure. But the NHL is not the National Football League. It's not Major League Baseball. It's not the NBA. And I get that, and I know that. And we can dive into why that is and how we got here. But I don't know. Discouraging might be too strong, but when I heard that, that was a bummer to me. That the Women's College World Series basically gets the numbers right now of the Stanley Cup, which the ratings were down for game one of this rematch. And hopefully it was a one-night thing. Maybe it's based on, midweek, or I don't know. It's ESPN versus TNT and it's sports. So maybe that has something to do with it. I'm not sure if the Women's College World Series had some type of ESPN in addition to like an ABC part of the telecast. I don't really know, but I think it was just cable. I think it was ESPN, TNT, and it was 1.1 to 1.4. But it sounds like you're a good person to ask if you're enjoying it so much. What I would say is I always watch it for sure. It's ubiquitous on television for a few weeks.
Yep.
Like you cannot turn on TV. And for me, all my, locked in channels, when the TV pops on or on YouTube TV, the first thing that says, do you want to watch this? It's ESPN. So those games, like you have to almost avoid them not to see them.
Right.
So I end up watching a lot of it and it is super entertaining. But what appeals about it to you so much, because it sounds like you're even more into it than you would be like the College World Series with hardball.
Yes,
which is the thing that I get super into. But like, I don't know that that's going to do 1.2 million in viewership.
Yeah, who knows if it does? Yeah, I mean, I watched the Men's College World Series. I have since I was a kid. I've always really, really liked it. But I don't know what it is specifically about the game. I find it just close enough to baseball, but also there are these crazy differences where everything happens so fast. In other words, like the fielders, because the base paths are so short, The fielders are so close to the batter that like every play has to be made bang, bang. There's no take your time, 2 hops, flick it sidearm like you can do in the bigs on a routine room service 2.5 hopper, right? Like everything has to be fast. And you know what else is fast is the pitching. These women are like, there was a girl from Tennessee. I don't know how anybody hit her who I brought into the show who threw 80 miles an hour underhand, the equivalent of 111 miles an hour on a fastball. Going from, they start at 44, 46, whatever it is. And as you hop forward to stay in the circle, she's releasing the ball 39 feet from your face, going at 80 miles an hour with rise and dip and dive and everything in between. It's just so ungodly nasty. But yet there are enough stars that can hit it, and there are enough plays to be made. For whatever reason, it has really caught my attention over the last handful of years, and I watch it every year.
Sounds like you're not alone. I watch it and enjoy it, but what you like about it, it sounds like I would change. Like it's the part that while I watch it, maybe in spite of, I don't like the bases being so close, or, the fact that like it almost feels like a little league field in a sense, like with the speed of the game. And they're so good that
they're so good.
I think they've outgrown it. And the pitchers especially have outgrown it. They need to probably move the mound back so that it's not the velocity of like 107 coming at you.
Seriously.
To your point. But I don't like the idea that a pop-up in the infield might go over the fence. Like, doesn't appeal to me. I don't like that. If it makes it feel more amateur watching it, when it's just like, okay, off the bat, is that going to be right behind second base or a home run to center field? But it's a lot of like drag bunts and good, clean, small ball. That part I love. I just want it played on bigger dimensions because I just feel like the girls have gotten too good for the basically playing on the field that I don't know. It looked like maybe you or I would have played on dimensions wise when it's 14, 15. What is it? It's like 60 feet in Major League Baseball. And I want to say it's 45 feet in softball. Is that right?
Something to that effect. Yeah. But again, you don't have to have your foot on the rubber when you throw, that you hop forward and you're still in the circle.
Well, I'm just talking about the bases.
Oh, okay.
The mound even more so is crazy.
Major League Base is 90 feet. I think these are 60.
Oh, yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. 60 feet from home plate. Major League Bases are 90, and then softball 60, right?
I think so.
So I would move those back to like 75. And I mean, there's experts that probably know a lot more about this than I do that could come up with a better plan. But just watching it, you don't get that sense like they're too good for that dimension of field. It feels like they just got off their buses at a youth field, and it's like, no. You guys are a level up. Texas Tech, you guys are better than this field.
Yeah, you're a little bit higher than that. Yeah, I don't know. I see your point. It's not as if like, because there's I'm trying to phrase this. Like every once in a while, like for example, there was this girl that and her team got eliminated, but I couldn't get over this, that she got $1 million of NIL to transfer from Stanford to Arkansas, and had Arkansas got upset in their regional final, but she had 30 bombs, hit 500 with 30 bombs over one of the great offensive seasons in the history of the sport. So for her, the dimensions are too small. But for like 90% of the players, it's not as if they're, like Pete and Cavilla, like a hulking mass of humanity that gets jammed that hits it 400 feet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So for the most part, it plays right. But every once in a while, you get someone that's so, like, that girl is so good that if she didn't see a strike in the entire 3-game series in the regional final, they walked her every time. And once they tried to pitch to her and they hit her, like, they're like, not you, right? So for her, the field's too small. You can move it back 30 feet, 40 feet, 50 feet for her. She still would have hit bombs. But for a lot of that, I don't know. I mean, it does feel too fast on the bases, though, right? To going home to first. But stealing, the timing works right. It's the same percentage as it would be in baseball. But you're right about home to first. Like
a tapper to the mound is like a bang,
really
bang
close
play.
Yeah.
It's kind of, that to me is a little ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
But the sport itself is ultra entertaining. I think the energy is really cool. They're chanting. They're on the top step. They're celebrating. It's all made for television in a sense. I mean, more so than just a game or a sport. I think it's actually very, very entertaining product. And I would say the same thing, by the way, about college baseball, which I love, and the College World Series, which is coming up. But those numbers, I mean, what a win. Women's sports is certainly rising in popularity. It seems like all the time. We talk about it with the WNBA and Caitlin Clark and what she's meant to that association, and just how much the television numbers and the attendance numbers have changed in the last 2-3 years. but it seems like it might be bigger than that and larger than that. In our own backyard here with the Washington Spirit for soccer, you look at, I've always found the women's national soccer team to be ultra entertaining to watch. I mean, since Brandy Chastain ripped off her jersey to celebrate in 99 when I was 10 years old, I was watching that game. I've always thought women's soccer at the international level was a really good, entertaining return on investment as a sports fan. But it just seems like, if Women's College World Series softball now, where the University of Florida is playing UCLA in a championship game, and that's basically getting Stanley Cup numbers, something's afoot here with women's sports. So I think that's definitely a win for ESPN as they've been trying to give them better time slots and pushing those along. All right, the phones are open for you on the Commanders running back situation. 800-636-1067 is the number. Let's sneak in a couple people who wanted to chat, I guess, about the WCWS. Mo's in D.C. What's up, Mo? How are you? Mo, you're on Grant and Danny. What's good?
Hey, buddy.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Pal.
All right, hey, listen, I'm going to make it quick. So the Women's College World Series, it's like you said with the U.S. Olympic team. It's very entertaining. I watch it more than I watch Major League Baseball. Now, playoff baseball is different, but that is a playoff atmosphere. And it's the best out of three. And they really talking trash to each other. Like, they really talking trash. And the thing that you don't like about it, like the bang-bang play about the dribbler or whatever, that makes it faster and funner for me. So I really enjoy it. When we talk about the running back room, right? No, I would have to be content with it, but I wouldn't be excited about it. Unless Brian Robinson, channels his inner Earl Campbell or, some great Alabama running back, then him being the lead back is not exciting to me. Now,
so here's my question for our guys. Thanks for the call.
Appreciate you, dude.
We got a research team back in the studio. I'll put on this. Find me running backs that became something different than they were in year 4. 3-year sample, and then in their 4th year, they just took off. I'm not saying it's never happened. I'm saying I can't think of anyone who's done it, and I'd like an example of that. We'll get back into the running backs in a second, but I think this is kind of an interesting conversation we're having. That's you and him both like the thing that bothers me, which is like the smallness of the field. Maybe that is more of a positive than a negative for a lot of people.
It's different for sure. It's different.
Yeah.
But
it adds to the pace, and it adds to how would I say it? Every single play is close. Every single play is tight. And it doesn't matter how, a tapper is possibly a base hit. And if the MLB is chasing offense and runners on base and true outcomes that aren't home runs, then maybe they're onto something. Maybe that action is appealing. Just athletes running. Dave's in Woodbridge on Grant and Danny. What's up, Dave?
Hey, guys. So I was always big into the men's College World Series, but I have to say, so I play ball. My son, he plays baseball. My household, the last 2 or 3 years, we have done a total shift to the women's game. It's so exciting. They're so fundamentally sound. I rarely see an error. They're making these diving plays. I like the dimensions. I like the short porch. It's not like we're having 15 to 14 games. I would be open for them, having some kind of women's semi-pro league, and they play in some of these minor league, stadiums. It is enjoyable to watch, so I definitely on board. Thanks.
Well, check out the new league that Kim Ng's gotten started here. The former Marlins GM. She's going to be running a barnstorming league. She's the commissioner. It's called the AUSL, I believe, and she's just taking this thing over. They're just getting started, but it's going to be a big deal. I really believe that.
Yeah, they tried to do something like this before, Jeeps, where they're because it's the same thing happened, frankly, with men's lacrosse, where the highest level is college lacrosse. They've tried to put these pro leagues together. Have tried a couple different iterations of this Major League Lacrosse and this Pro League Lacrosse and this and that, and it hasn't really been unified. I know one of the Junkies buddies, I'm blanking on his name, has tried to put together. Paul Rabel has tried to have something that's more serious and working now. But they've done this with women's softball, where it's like there's got to be a place for these stars who are great at this sport at the highest level to go after college. And they haven't really had it stick yet, kind of sort of non-Olympic division, right? Some of the people that now, if you've watched softball in the Olympics, the Cat Ostermans, Lisa Fernandez back in the day, Jenny Finch went to Arizona. Some of these names are celebrities, but they couldn't really find a league that stuck. So maybe this model of like that barnstorming type deal, Savannah Banana style, might be the way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. And all of the stars, the celebrity superstars over the years that you just referenced are on the board with Ing from what I've read. But it's the Athletes Unlimited Softball League. 4 teams, 10 cities, 24 game tour, going to serve as a test run for its move next year to 6 teams in permanent locations. So they want to get to a point kind of like the UFL where it's a 6-team league. But right now, this is how they're kind of getting it off the ground. Let's go to Brian in Herndon on Grant and Daniel. Brian, what's up?
Hey, Brian.
Grant, Daniel, happy Friday, guys.
Hey, buddy.
Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, so again, diehard baseball family here with the boys and my wife. My wife, I can't get her to watch any baseball unless we're at the Nats Park, but nothing much to watch on TV on Wednesday. Found the World Series. Honestly, the first time I've watched the Girls World Series, and my family instantly got hooked to the point where last night, I told the boys that Game 1 was on for the basketball NBA Finals, and they also knew that Game 2 was on. They wanted to watch the Game 2 of the World Series.
Man,
we sat there as a family, pop popcorn, watched the game. Dude, this pitcher for Texas Tech, correct me if I'm wrong, I think she's thrown back-to-back games.
Yeah.
Like,
because the underhand motion is,
yeah.
Your shoulder doesn't fall off.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I think she's throwing every inning of their postseason or close to it, something like that.
Guess what my family's doing tonight? We're watching Game 3 of the World Series. What's
can I ask you
right now?
How old are your boys?
They're 9 and 11, and they are. I mean, they're knee deep into baseball. Like, we're in All-Star baseball right now. We're playing 30 days of baseball right now. It's like we are a baseball family, and now completely obsessed with this World Series. Like,
that's so cool.
This is awesome. I love it. Yeah,
that's
awesome.
Neat. Danny, what do you think's the difference in numbers between people who play pickup hockey? So, not just ice skating, right? But like roller hockey, because I know I have a lot of buddies that are in leagues, or softball, just in America. I'm just thinking about, because hockey, to me, people don't grow up with it.
Right.
It's different now in DC, thanks to Ovi and the Rock the Red era effect here. But I don't know about you. I mean, did you ever play in an ice hockey game growing up?
Never once. I played street hockey. Like, because honestly, right after Wayne's World came out, where they're doing Game On, my neighbors, Casey and Kurt, we all got rollerblades and hockey sticks. 2 of the 3 hockey sticks we used were giveaways at Capitals games, by the way, back in the day. You sleep. When it was stick night, we'd always go, and you would get a full, honest-to-God wooden stick. They had to change that for cost, and then you get a plastic plate on it.
I was going to say, you must have hit your sister with it or something and ruined it for me, because they weren't still doing that.
Yeah, there were too many incidents, I think. But that's where we got some of these sticks from. So we were playing with like a roller puck and stuff like that on blacktops in places.
We would do the same thing on Ward Road. You remember Ward Road in King George County?
It's the road, yeah.
Right in front of 12104 Ward Road. We would yell in Peppermill Estates, car. You have to get to the side. Game on.
Game on.
Based on Wayne's World. Exactly right. Same shtick. But I do wonder, I would imagine, and I'm making this up out of my tuchus, I imagine that there are tons more people that are in softball leagues than that are playing in hockey leagues. Now, maybe that's not the case, but I just know in my adult life, like, I've been invited to play way more times to go play softball than to play in a roller hockey.
Yeah, I've never once been invited to play hockey. Not one time.
There is good hockey being played.
Sure.
My boys, Norwich and Elliott, are on a team, and like they're always talking about their games, and it's super competitive. Carl Alsner does pick up games with former college hockey players. I mean, it's out there. I just think maybe there's definitely a connection with baseball and softball, which get linked together.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a different natural sport that a lot of people came up with. If you learned to swim, when you were 3 or 4 years old, as opposed to someone who'd never been in a pool until they're 9, it's just something naturally that you're more adept at. John's in Rockville. What's up, John? You're on Grant and Danny.
All right. First, Grant, I want to ask you, with the smaller fields, how many home runs do you think you could hit?
In a softball field?
Yeah.
0.
Okay. My daughter just got I played minor league baseball, and my daughter just got a scholarship to East Carolina. She's a pitcher.
Oh, amazing. That's awesome.
I will tell you that she took me out on the field, and I thought I could hit off her.
I could not even come close, man.
No. Listen, I'm not doing the bit where I.
No, but what I'm saying is, I think what you're seeing, and I noticed the same thing. I think what you're seeing is that the talent of these young women has just phenomenally grown. Where what you're seeing is it looking easy, but I don't think the average even girl or the average high school softball player plays those fields like that, to Danny's point. I think it's just like, I mean, you know, my daughter talked about that pitcher that Danny likes, the 80 mile an hour. My daughter throws 63, which is fast.
Yeah, 63 is firm. That's a good fastball.
Yeah. No, and she's a freshman, or she's going into her freshman year next year. So, I mean, when I look at that, I'm just shocked of how far the women's game has evolved.
Oh,
and
but
I think
this is my point, actually. It's a good phone call. Thank you. And congrats to her. That's going to be great. I'm glad she got the scholarship. No. Let me be clear, Barack Obama style.
Do a full thing.
Clear.
There you go.
2 parts here. One, this is not tough guy man on the radio going, I'd hit a home run off any of those pitchers.
I'd take them deep.
No, I couldn't hit anything. I think I would maybe make contact and hit some dribblers if I got lucky. That's kind of the extent of what I would hope to do. That's not what I'm doing here. My point is actually the opposite. I think these girls are way too good for that, for that dimension. Now, your point is we're seeing the best of the best. By the time they're on ESPN and the championship, I'm watching Florida and UCLA and whatever, and the average player at Oral Roberts, or I don't know, pick your, Old Dominion or whatever, maybe the surface and the dimensions suit them just fine. But when I'm watching, it just feels very small. I'm saying, let's explore the space. Let's give them a bigger field and show off the athleticism even more. But it seems like it resonates with people. The pace of it works. I know this. I don't turn the game off when it's on. Yep. I am entertained by it. So maybe they got nothing to fix. By the way, they're doing Stanley Cup numbers.
Yeah.
So maybe don't tweak a whole lot. Maybe just keep saying, have fun, ladies, and posting it on as many of your channels as you can.
Yeah, keep doing what you're doing, man.